You said something real in a room full of people, something honest, something that cut beneath the surface of the conversation everyone else was perfectly comfortable having. And the room shifted, not dramatically, just enough. A throat cleared, someone redirected. The laughter that had been easy a moment before became something slightly different. And you felt it, that specific sensation you have felt 100 times before in 100 different rooms. The sensation of being too much for the space you are in, of seeing something everyone else is comfortable not seeing, of being awake in a conversation that is happening in its sleep. You have probably spent years wondering what is wrong with you, why connection feels so much harder than it looks for other people, why you leave situations that should be energizing feeling completely drained, why you can feel the tension between two people in a room before either of them have acknowledged it, why you can hear what someone means beneath what they are saying, why you understand people's patterns sometimes better than they understand their own, and why none of that makes your life easier. Carl Jung discovered that what you carry is not a disorder. It is not sensitivity in the casual self-help sense of the word. It is something he documented across decades of clinical work as one of the most specific and least understood forms of psychological experience available to a human being. He called it consciousness fatigue, the exhaustion that does not come from doing too much. It comes from seeing too much. And once you understand the specific mechanism, what is actually happening in you and why, the question will no longer be what is wrong with me. It will be something far more useful. What am I supposed to do with this? Stay with me. Because the answer to that question is the most important thing Jung discovered about people like you. Here is what is actually happening when you walk into a room. Most people move through social environments processing what is being said. The words, the content, the surface layer of the interaction. You process something else simultaneously. The tension between the two people who have not resolved their conflict from last week. The anxiety beneath your colleague's confident presentation. The grief that lives in the specific way someone laughs. The resentment running underneath the polite conversation at a family dinner that everyone has agreed not to name. You do not choose to receive this. Your nervous system receives it automatically, before your conscious mind has had time to decide whether to pay attention. Before you have made any deliberate decision to look beneath the surface, the information simply arrives. Jung called this the burden of expanded consciousness, the specific experience of a psyche that has developed past the point where it can comfortably participate in environments running on a lower level of awareness. And here is the part that makes it genuinely exhausting in a way that nobody around you may fully understand. You cannot turn it off. You sit in that meeting receiving everyone's unspoken, emotional reality while simultaneously trying to engage with the actual content of the conversation. You attend the social event performing the function of someone who is simply present while something in you is processing the entire room's unconscious dynamics in real time. By the time it ends, you are not tired from the effort of being there. You are tired from the effort of being there, while simultaneously doing something that nobody around you knows you are doing. But here is the turn that most people in your situation never reach. Jung did not study this experience as a pathology to be corrected. He studied it as a developmental stage with a specific and necessary purpose. And what he found is going to reframe everything. You have been telling yourself about why this is so hard. He discovered that the people who carry this specific form of awareness are not suffering from too much sensitivity. They are suffering from the absence of a framework for what the sensitivity is for. Because here is what Jung observed. The awareness itself is not the problem. The problem is trying to live it in environments that have no framework for what to do with it. The awareness was never designed to be hidden, never designed to be managed into invisibility. While you perform the function of someone who sees only the surface, it was designed to be used, not to fix everyone in the room, not to point out what everyone is not seeing, something quieter and more significant than either of those things, to demonstrate, through the specific quality of your presence, that a different way of being in the world is possible. Jung identified what he called the hermit phase, the withdrawal that almost every deeply aware person eventually enters, and he was specific about why it happens. It is not depression. It is not social failure. It is not a character flaw or evidence of incompatibility with ordinary human life. It is the psyche protecting the development that is happening inside you from the pressure of environments that need you to suppress it. You cannot integrate what you are carrying while simultaneously performing the version of yourself that everyone around you is comfortable with. You cannot develop the specific kind of inner solidity that allows genuine awareness to become useful rather than simply exhausting while you are spending all of your available energy pretending you do not see what you see. The withdrawal is not the destination, it is the preparation. And what it is preparing you for is the specific form of re-engagement that Jung spent his career documenting in the people who moved through this fully rather than getting stuck in either direction. Because here is what also needs to be said. And Jung was honest about this in a way that most frameworks around deep awareness are not. The awareness can become its own trap. Jung called it spiritual inflation, the specific psychological error of someone who mistakes the capacity for deep perception for superiority over the people who do not share it, who uses their awareness as evidence that they have transcended ordinary human experience rather than as a tool for engaging with it more honestly, who begins using their sensitivity as a reason to withdraw indefinitely rather than as a resource to bring back into relationship with the world. The hermit phase is necessary, but it is not permanent. And the specific test Jung identified for whether the withdrawal is serving development or replacing it, is this. Are you becoming more capable of genuine connection, or less? Because genuine consciousness does not produce contempt for the unconscious. It produces compassion for it. The person who has actually integrated their awareness does not look at the room full of people talking in their sleep with disdain. They look at it with the specific understanding of someone who knows what it costs to be awake, and who remembers that they were not always. Here is what the return looks like when it happens properly. Jung documented it in detail across case after case. The person who has moved through genuine withdrawal and genuine integration does not re-enter the world trying to be less aware. They re-enter it differently positioned in relation to their awareness, no longer consumed by what they receive, no longer exhausted by the gap between what they see and what everyone else is willing to acknowledge. No longer performing the function of someone who sees only the surface while processing everything beneath it in exhausted silence. Present, actually present, in a way that their previous experience of constantly managing their awareness never allowed. Jung said that this specific quality of presence, the presence of someone who has integrated their awareness rather than trying to suppress or perform it, is among the most powerful things a human being can offer another. Not through explaining what they see, not through trying to make others see what they see, through existing in a way that makes the alternative visible, through demonstrating in their actual daily life that it is possible to move through the world with genuine perception without being destroyed by it, through being the specific proof that what most deeply aware people fear is not inevitable, that the awareness does not have to mean permanent exhaustion, that seeing does not have to mean isolation, that the specific quality of perception you were born with is not a wound that has to be managed. It is a resource that has to be integrated, and the integration is not a destination you arrive at once. It is a practice, daily, ongoing, never quite finished, but genuinely transformative in ways that the years of exhausted suppression never were. Jung said this about the people who carry what you carry. He said they are not broken. They are early to a form of awareness that the world around them has not yet caught up with. And the specific pain of that, the loneliness of being awake in rooms that are asleep, is not evidence that something went wrong in your development. It is the specific growing pain of a consciousness that arrived before the cultural framework existed, to receive it with full understanding. You are not too much. You are not a problem to be solved. You are not someone who should be less aware or less perceptive, or less present to the depth of what is actually happening in every room you enter. You are someone who has not yet found the framework that makes the awareness useful instead of simply exhausting. This video is the beginning of that framework, and what comes next goes deeper into exactly how you move from consciousness as burden to consciousness as the specific and irreplaceable gift that it was always supposed to be. If this reached the part of you that has been exhausted by what you cannot stop seeing, that exhaustion is not a flaw. It is the signal that the integration has not happened yet. Not that it cannot. Share this with the person in your life who has always seemed to feel everything too much. They need to know Jung named what they carry, and that he also mapped the way through it. Subscribe, because what comes next is for the person who is ready to stop managing their awareness and start living from it.